Shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wahara Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace, many blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect, the house of David, the Bayafta Wadah, for whom these epistles are written for in these last days. Shalom to the elect. I just wanted to go into a quick lesson dealing with the global economy. You know what I'm saying? I had, a couple precepts, the main characters, basically just describing how the Lord is going. He basically is at this moment. He's doing work on this place. You know what I'm saying? He's dragging Babylon the Great, down into the dust, as Isaiah 47:1 talks about. Okay. And it's playing out in real time. And it was before it manifests, it was in the spirit. Okay. So what we're seeing right now with the economy, basically going into the tank. Okay. The dollar devaluing day by day. You're seeing inflation, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, but it's actually inflation taking place. Okay. Brothers go to the grocery store. You buy about 8 items and it comes up to about $100. You know what I'm saying? So inflation is definitely taking place, man. Okay. Whether these people want to admit it or not, these are part of the plagues that the Heavenly Father said that he would have on this place. This is 2 Esdras 15:1. It says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahushai." And this is a part of the prophecy. Okay. A part of the plagues. There are many different plagues that the Heavenly Father has bestowed upon Babylon the Great. Okay. But all right, they're all going to accomplish what they were set out to do. Okay. Which is to cripple this place. The Heavenly Father is ripping this place limb from limb. And eventually he's just going to take her out of power, because these people don't see exactly what's going on. All right. Because the Heavenly Father has blinded these people. All right. And it started with you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans that don't want to get down with the word. Well, that's because the Heavenly Father didn't want you in the first place. You'll be good on the other side, but on this side, you'll be blinded. Not just blinded physically, but blinded mentally, blinded spiritually. Okay, you'll think that the world has your best interest. All right. It says, "And cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." These are faithful words. All right, from the Heavenly Father. Okay. He's destroying this economy limb from limb, man. And ain't nothing these people could do about it. Absolutely nothing. All right. Let's go to 2 Esdras 16. And let's start at 5. 2 Esdras 16:5. It says, "Plagues are sent unto you. And what is he that may drive them away?" You're right. You're not going to be able to stop these plagues. Okay. There's turmoil all throughout the earth. Okay. People uprisings. Okay. Coming against these mandates and things of that nature. Okay. You have joblessness. You have the rent moratorium, which is still going on, by the way. Okay. Eventually that bubble's going to pop. All right. You got the dollar. All right. Nose diving. Okay. You have political, nemesis on both sides, okay, which Isaiah 19:2 talks about that. Egyptian against Egyptian. All right. Everything's in a bubble, and eventually the bubble's going to pop. All right. Continuing. Verse 6, it says, "May any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it hath begun to burn." That's right. So the Heavenly Father sent these plagues down. You're not going to be able to stop them. And mainly when I say that, it's talking to you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, so-called, because you have bought into the system, man. You're looking to save this system. Okay. You're looking to protect the so-called white man from the destruction he's about to receive. But I'm here to tell you, and other brothers like myself are here to tell you, you're doing this in vain. You're not going to be able to accomplish what you're looking to do. All right, that bomb you're trying to give unto Babylon is not going to work. Verse 7, it says, "May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. The mighty Lord Yahawah Ba'ashem Shai sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? and there ain't nobody can do it. The Heavenly Father said it once it's set up, once it's been spoken, as it says in 2 Ezra 15:1, behold, okay, speak in the ears of my people the words of prophecy. If you don't if you don't understand that the Heavenly Father is totally against this place, okay, then you're spiritually blinded and you don't see what's going on. You don't know what's going on. This place is ripe for destruction. And that's just what it is. The quicker you understand this, the better off you will be. Okay? Let's get the article real quick and we'll come back. And this is from RT News. Yeah, this is from RT News. All right, it says, global economy headed into the mother of all wood chippers. You know, the dollar is closely tied to the U.S. dollar is closely tied to all these global markets, man. So once the dollar is destroyed, people don't understand, you know, which I'm not going to do a whole entire breakdown, but give you a quick summary. All right, once the dollar falls, okay, because it's tied to all these different economies, but it's not backed by anything. Okay, it's made up. It's fiat funny money. All right, so once basically you can someone who has means, all right, or has some sway in this society, financially speaking, let's just say the president, so-called president of the United States. Okay, he has sway in saying certain things in a speech, and that could change minds in a market and cause people to sell on their assets. And it's faulty because it's backed up by nothing. All right. So the fact that people like himself, okay, have the power to do that. Okay. It's an unstable situation. And eventually it's just going to all crumble down, man. It's a house of cards. All right. You see the picture right there. It says, as funds delocation lead to supply chain interruptions and bank failures, the world's economy is headed to the mother of all wood chippers. But some states may escape the blades by loading up on Bitcoin instead of fiat money. And we already told you what fiat money is. Funny money, man. Okay? It's not backed by anything. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros, man, in a computer. Okay? Funny money. It says Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert talk inflation. Central bank collapses and Bitcoin stocking. El Salvador, which emerges as the only true sovereign state with unconfiscatable wealth. That's BS. That's totally BS. Let's play a little bit of it.
Howdy, this is Max Kaiser. This is the Kaiser Report. Wow, things are, of course, playing out as we've been predicting they would. We've got the various central banks putting on their kabuki costumes and getting ready to go out on stage and perform their ritualistic nod to the need to raise rates, followed by their ritualistic denial that they are able to raise rates, followed by massive quantitative easing, money printing, and hyperinflation. Once again, oh boy, it gets so entertaining. Yes.
Max, that sounds very spooky, and it's probably because everybody's spooked, perhaps because of Halloween, perhaps because of the data coming out, that even that data, those signals can't be hidden. Suddenly, hawkish Bank of Canada ends, QE moves rate hikes forward, 1 year and 2 year yields spike, spooked by inflation not being temporary. Also spooked is the Fed, because GDP growth was only up 2% in the third quarter, not the 7% that it was expected by Goldman Sachs.
Right? Yeah, okay. So the rate raises that they should have done 10 years ago, 9, 8, 7 years ago, 6, 5, 4 years ago, 3, 2, 1 year ago, that never took place. They kicked the can down the road. They increased the problem. And once again, they're going to talk about raising rates, or they will tinker at the margins, and markets will crash because we're in this hyper-leveraged environment now for the first time ever in history to this extent. And then they're going to come back and they're going to say, oh, actually, we need to do a massive quantitative easing and massive money printing once again, because you cannot taper a Ponzi scheme.
Right. So here is the headline. It's very spooky. U.S. Treasury 30-year yield falls below 20 years for the first time. This is what a time to watch lines. So this is the first time in history. Things are getting spooky.
Right. So you've got interest rate inversion.
Yeah, it is getting spooky, Esau. It's going to get even more spooky here. This is, let's go ahead and get the scripture. This is Ezekiel. Seven and 19. I start at 18. This is Ezekiel 7 and 18. It says, "They shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and horror, and horror shall cover them." Isn't this the theme of the show that they're speaking about? Is how spooky these things are going, or how things are going right now? Okay, people are really starting to consider. These Edomites are starting to realize that this is a house of cards, man. Okay, and it's not going to be held up too much longer. Okay, this is Ezekiel 7 and 18. It says, "They shall gird themselves with sackcloth, okay, and horror shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, and baldness upon all their heads. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord Yahawah. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity." Doesn't need to it breaks itself down. Here's the point. Their financial system is getting ready to implode, and they know it. They know it. And that's why Revelation 12 and 12 talks about they shall woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. His time is short. He's telling you his time is short, but you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are not paying attention. You're not watching. You're not presenting this information with those of you that know you're Israelites. Okay. This is information that is very much needed, all right, to watch for prophecy, okay? Because prophecy is very, very important, especially now when you see these people are panicking. The Heavenly Father said that they would do this. This is a part of the plagues. Let's go back.
Version on the spread of interest rates over that curve, interest rate curve inversion, and as the economy becomes almost impossible to navigate, the Bermuda Triangle of global finance, where up is down and down is up in the 20 years, less than the 10-year, more dislocations, more chaos, resulting in greater supply chain interruptions, greater bank failures, greater social unrest as we head into kind of the wood chipper of all, the mother of all financial wood chippings.
Well, speaking of wood chippings, some might say, including ourselves, that the U.S. dollar is headed for the wood chipper, or at least the, some sort of cremation. And that would suggest that El Salvador might have been right to buy the dip. So when Bitcoin fell, El Salvador bought the dip, according to Nayib Bukele, the president.
Right. Well, he is openly mocking the IMF. He said he was waiting for Bitcoin to come in to a better price range. It did. And he loaded the boat. He bought more Bitcoin, and he's on balance up on his Bitcoin position. He's making a fool out of the IMF. He's making a fool out of all the central bankers. He's giving his country something that no other country has, and that is sovereignty, true sovereignty, based on unconfiscatable wealth. He's the George Washington of the 21st century. He'll go down in history as one of the brightest, sharpest presidents ever. And what more can be said about this guy? He's a genius.
A genius indeed. Of course, he announced on Twitter, and the Twitter CEO, Jack Dorsey, had the week before mentioned the H word, the hyperinflation, which has spooked many economists, spooked many commentators and other CEOs. I think once you get the industrial class, the industrialist class starting to mention the H word, we know from history, if anybody has read history, what you find with Weimar Germany was that it was the industrialists who started to act first on hyperinflation. And so, as we head into the spooky times of hyperinflation, here's a very spooky headline along those lines, because it's still at the turning point where we're still celebrating these sort of headlines without understanding the implications of hyperinflation. Elon Musk is on track to become the first trillionaire thanks to SpaceX. Morgan Stanley analysts predict the world's richest man will become even richer. So they're saying, Morgan Stanley is saying that he will become a trillionaire because of SpaceX, not because of Tesla. Tesla, he's already worth $300 billion. He's made more in the past 9 months than Warren Buffett has made his entire investing life. So he's worth close to $300 billion. He might be worth a trillionaire. But we all might be trillionaires soon. Like, it's happened in other countries, Zimbabwe being one of them, and we're going to turn to something from 2015 by then. But what do you think of Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire, Max?
Right. A lot of people in Zimbabwe are trillionaires. They have the actual $1 trillion banknote. So almost everyone in Zimbabwe is a trillionaire. It's also an issue with Elon Musk of corporate governance. As people know, as the stock price goes up, his options kick in, and he ends up getting more of a percentage of the company, and therefore has absolute control over the company. And in a way, in an era when a lot of regulators are also stakeholders and shareholders in these companies, so there's a corporate governance issue as well. But yeah, he's heading toward trillionaire status, and but in fiat money terms.
Just so you see how a person could go.
As you heard right there, he said in fiat money terms, meaning it's not real. This guy's money is not real. None of this is real, man. Okay? They have the Federal Reserve right here in Atlanta, man. All right, they tell you that. They tell you that the money's not backed by anything, man. All right? Let's get to scriptures. Let's read that one more time. Ezekiel 7:19, it says, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord Yahawah. That's right. It's not going to be able to deliver these devils. Okay? You're not going to be able to pay off the angels. You're not going to be able to pay off the Heavenly Father. You damn sure ain't going to be able to pay off Yahawah. All right? It says, they shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. As for the beauty of his ornament, he set it in majesty, but they made the images of their abominations and of their detestable things therein. Therefore have I set it afar from them. Woo. So, like he made his charagma. Okay. He thinks he's going to be able to accomplish and tie everything into his economy and basically force or coerce people into taking his MOTB, man. All right. And now, now he's being made a fool. Okay. Now he's being made a fool. He's looked at, all right, as the imposter, okay, as the weirdo that he is. All right. It says, and I will, verse 21, and I will give it into the hands of the stranger for a prey, and the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it. My face will I turn also from them, and they shall pollute my secret place, for the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. That's right, you did. That's what you did to the Israelites. You entered into to the Israelites. You basically came and polluted the Heavenly Father's heritage and His Son's heritage, man. Okay, the Heavenly Father doesn't look too kind. He doesn't look too kindly to that. All right, let's go to Isaiah 33. It's a lot here from all over the place, but this is what the Heavenly Father, all right, commanded. He wants precepts to come out, and that's what he gets. All right, Lord wants this. This is what He's gonna, He wants precepts, so we're gonna bring it out. This is Isaiah 33:1. It says, "Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. O Lord Yahawah, be gracious unto us. We have waited for thee. Be thou their arm every morning, our salvation also in the time of trouble." And we're coming into the time of trouble. This financial instability, okay, when the dollar completely crashes, what do you think is going to be going on in the streets? What do you think is going to be happening? People are going to lose it. Okay? They're not going to be able to feed themselves. They're not going to be able to feed their families. What do you think is going to happen next? Anarchy. All out hell coming in the streets of Babylon the Great. Okay? It's going to lead to famine, which we can get that. All right? It's going to lead to a lot of things. Let's go to Amos 8:8. It says, "Shall not the land tremble for this, and every man mourn that dwelleth therein? And it shall rise up wholly as a flood." Okay, and it shall be cast out and drowned as by the flood of Egypt. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahawah shall thy power, that I will cause the sun to go down at noon, and I will darken the earth in the clear day. And I will turn your feast into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation. And I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, and baldness upon every head. And I will make it as the morning of an only sun, and the end thereof as a bitter day." Woo! The dollar crashes. People are going to lose it. People are going to completely lose it. There won't be any more hope. Jobs are already ending. Okay, they're going total automation in a lot of jobs. Okay. Verse 10, it says, "And I will turn your..." I already read that. Verse 11, it says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahawah shall thy power, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but hearing the words of the Lord Yahawah." That's right. And the actual famine is going to be going on too. But the real famine is not hearing the words of the Lord Yahawah shall. That, you know what that means? That means that He's going to have His prophets, His men, His women, all right, the elect. He's going to have them dashed off somewhere where you can't find them. Okay? You're not going to be able to contact them. And most likely the Lord's going to be taking good care of them. While those of you that scoff against the word, talk shit against the men of the Lord, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone all the way down. Okay, scoffed. Getting all emotional, effeminate. You know what I'm saying? The Lord's going to do a number on a lot of you niggas, man. All right? Hey, and when this financial system crashes, man, okay, people are going to realize that we were telling you the truth, man. Okay? Because the Lord is exposing this devil right now. And we're just along for the ride, man. Isaiah 47:1, it says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." That's right. Your system is crashing. And in turn, the entire global economy is crashing. Verse 2, it says, "Take the millstones, grind the mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover thy thigh, pass over the rivers." That's what the prophets of Yahawah are doing right now. We're uncovering the lock. We're showing the world that you are the devil. Let's prove that. Let's go to Jeremiah. So part of our job is to tell everybody what kind of demon you are and what's going to happen to you. Jeremiah 50:1, it says, the word of the Lord Yahawah spake against Babylon. Okay, it's against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Verse 2, it says, declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. That's what we're doing right now. This lesson is about exposing you and showing the entire world that you are not that tender and delicate angel that you present yourself to be. It says, say, Babylon is taken, by all is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, and her image are broken in pieces. Woo. And that's what's going on right now. Is it undeniable? It's got to be totally undeniable at this point. Okay? Prophecy is taking place. These plagues are hidden and destroying this place inside and out, from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top. We don't have much time. We don't have much time. It's only a matter of time before it completely implodes. And that's all through the spirit of Kol Haloyim, Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawah Shai. Okay? I'm going to go back to the video.
Go from a trillionaire that it seems silly to say, well, this guy's going to be a trillionaire and he might not be worth anything tomorrow. We're going to cut to this headline from 2015, and it's from Zimbabwe. I was a quadrillionaire in Zimbabwe, but could barely afford to buy bread. After years of international isolation, hyperinflation in Zimbabwe hit a record 500 billion% in 2008. Instead of buckling under pressure, Robert Mugabe's government came up with a brilliant solution: print money on demand. Known for his populism, Mugabe made a wild promise to his followers. He said, quote, where money for projects has not been found, we will print it, which is spookily like what we're seeing today in the United States. When they demonetize, so we're gonna go over the period from 2008 to 2015 is when they demonetized, and they got rid of all those zeros at the end of their Zimbabwe dollar. According to the demonetization exercise, bank accounts with a balance of between 0 and 175 quadrillion Zimbabwe dollars were paid a flat fee of $5. So if you had, some people there had only 10 Zimbabwe dollars, some had 175 quadrillion. They each got $5 in their bank accounts in exchange for whatever they had in there.
God, wow. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great reset.
That's a great reset. Right? And it could be coming if hyperinflation happens. And hyperinflation, it's not really like you can predict precisely when it's going to happen, because it's a shift in enough mindsets. Like, enough people change their mindset and lose faith in the currency. And it's that last monkey that converts and no longer has faith in it, and the whole thing crashes.
Right. Well, when all the price signals completely break. So if the yield curve is broken and the 30-year bond is yielding less than the 10-year bond, and you have trillionaires running around, and you have the Bureau of Labor Statistics openly misreporting all kinds of data, GDP is miscalculated, insider trading and manipulation by Bank of England, Federal Reserve Bank, insider trading. So you end up with a situation where you have to reset. You have to start the game over again. It just a big tilt flashes up there, and it's like, okay, you've got to reset the game because the game is irreparably broken. And that's going to completely change the complexion of the economy. And for the most part, anyone holding fiat money or fiat securities will have to accept close to 0 cents on their dollars.
Yeah, and in a way, we almost have sanctions, right? Sanctions have caused hyperinflation in Venezuela, in Iran, in Syria, in other countries, and by default in Lebanon, which relies on a lot of trade with Syria and Iran, for example. So here we have a situation where, for all intents and purposes, you have the same thing. Is there's almost like supplies can't get in. So there's nowhere for that money to go. There's no goods to be had. So we have a shortage of goods and services, but we have these huge programs, just like we saw in Venezuela, huge social programs. So, the Biden administration is passing these social programs, and they're looking for the money, and nobody is willing to pay for these social programs. So this brings me back to this 2015 article about what happened in Zimbabwe when this guy went from being a quadrillionaire to being a nonaire. After years of international isolation, hyperinflation in Zimbabwe hit a record 500 billion% in 2008. Instead of buckling under pressure, Robert Mugabe's government came up with a brilliant solution: print money on demand. Known for his populism, Mugabe made a wild promise to his followers. Quote, he said, "Where money for projects has not been found, we will print it."
Right. Well, that's MMT, Magic Money Tree, here in America. One of the consequences of censorship, and censorship is running rampant in the United States with deplatforming and certain topics that are taboo and you can't say certain words anymore, is that it destroys price signals in markets as well. So when you destroy open communication outside of markets, that feedback mechanism means that the price signals you have in your markets are also wrong, inconsistent, and going to defraud and displace everybody in that economy as well. So when people hear like gas prices are rising and that they don't understand it's due to money printing, and they start to hear misinformation about the root causes of this, they are mobilized in ways politically that end up hurting them not only financially but politically as well. Brexit's a great example. They were lied about Brexit, and now they ended up being isolated from the world over there in Britain, and it's compounding, and gas prices are zooming higher, and shortages are developing, and it could have been avoided.
Right, and their former central banker at the time in Zimbabwe also had an accurate assessment of what was happening in the economy, but he was quite transparent and open about what they were actually doing versus what Jay Powell is saying about what they're doing with all the money printing, all the QE, all the free money for Wall Street. The central bank started printing money at will, added or removed zeros. Former central bank governor Gideon Gono, who was the country's chief economist, called it the casino economy. We quickly became a country of millionaires, billionaires, and millionaires and quadrillionaires in no time, I think he meant to write. So he himself called it the casino economy, the guy printing the free money.
Yeah, absolutely. But the purchasing power of that free money goes to zero. And it's a cognitive dissonance. You're like, I'm a quadrillionaire, but a cup of coffee costs 9 trillion gazillion billion, right? So garbage in, garbage out. Remember that from 20 years ago? That was a popular idiom. Hey, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, much more coming your way.
Hey man, these people know. They know, man. They know that this is not sustainable. This is James 5:1. It says, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped treasure together for the last days." And that, our brothers went into these different bunkers and things of that nature that they're trying to build up, all right, to withstand the chaos that's going to hit the streets of Babylon the Great and really in the entire world. Okay, they're trying to hide themselves from the judgment of the Heavenly Father when He allows these people to finally just say, F it. Okay, it's going to be complete chaos on the streets of Babylon the Great, man. Okay, and it's going to be live on different platforms too, because everybody has a phone. Even homeless people have phones. Okay. This is beautiful, man. Call Haloyim Yahawah Ba'al Shem Shai. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you, kept by fraud. Your Walmarts, your Targets, okay, these different corporations, okay, that basically use slave labor, okay. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who reap down your fields, which is kept back by which is of you, kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them have reaped, and entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. You have lived in pleasure on the earth, you have and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and have long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Ooh. So we have all you brothers and sisters out there that that understand, okay, the Heavenly Father is working the work right now. He's doing a marvelous thing in the earth. You know, we just got to be patient, because this devil's getting ready to be taken down. And it's clear to see. You can see the panic in these devils' faces, man, as they speak about it. And they should be panicked. Okay? Your financial system is rotting away as we speak. And it's going to lead to what? Isaiah 19:2. I quoted it earlier. Isaiah 19:2. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. That's right. So there's going to be all out. It's going to be all out anarchy in the streets of Babylon the Great. People are going to lose their mind. They already don't have anything, and you got these people that are hoarding treasures, okay, hoarding money, saving it, you know, or buying these elaborate bunkers. All right, people are going to go on hunt for looking for these people, man, for these Elon Musk and these Jeff Bezos, which they are low level, man. Okay, the real ones with the money, with all the gold, okay, because the fiat money ain't worth shit, man. Okay, it ain't worth shit, and they're telling you this. Okay, so to be the richest man in the world, according to fiat money, is like being the smartest, person with Down syndrome. Like it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so these people are the real ones with the money are the banking families. Okay, the 13 banking families, the Oppenheimers, the Gettys, all right, the DuPonts. Okay, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, okay, the Vanderbilts. These are the ones that have the money because they have the actual substance of gold and silver, okay, and they have and they're hoarding it, okay. They have a lot of it in Vatican City as well, but that's not Babylon, okay. For you weirdo Israelites teaching that bullshit, going off, all right. I'll read this one more time. This is what's going to lead to when this financial crash comes. Isaiah 19:2 is this, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's what's coming to Babylon the Great. Okay.
Welcome back to the Kaiser Report. I'm Max Kaiser. Time now to turn it back to Tyson Slocum of the Public Citizens Energy Program in Washington, D.C. Tyson, welcome back.
Always great to be here, Max.
All right, let's talk oil and gas. Natural gas prices are rocketing all over the world, with Europe getting hit hard. Of course, the U.S. media is blaming Russia, but it seems a perfect storm of depleted inventories following a cold winter last year, an avalanche of freshly printed money, and not enough wind renewables caused prices to increase fivefold. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's another issue going on here, and that's the price formation in natural gas markets. So we all remember the scandals with LIBOR, which was a voluntary reported index that all the big banks manipulated. The same exact structure is involved with natural gas spot markets in the United States, where literally natural gas prices are determined by voluntarily reported trades to private proprietary data publishers like Platts. And these companies and traders voluntarily reporting their trades have lots of incentive to manipulate those prices. Our investigation during the February winter storm, where we saw prices go overnight from $3 per million cubic feet up to $1,000 and more, we found that a number of key benchmarks reported only 2 trades that determined that $1,000 benchmark price. That's not a competitive, transparent market. That's a forum for market manipulation. And Congress actually gave federal regulators tools to replace these indexes with a more transparent system. And so I filed a petition to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission in June of this year, asking regulators to take this action, get rid of these voluntary reporting price indices, and replace it with a more functioning, transparent market.
Now, Tyson, last time you were on was actually in response to what was going on in the oil markets with negative price prints in those markets, which, of course, is impossible. It's the result of manipulation. And so you're saying that we're seeing that again in the gas market. You referenced the LIBOR market, of course, was proven to be manipulated. We know it's been happening in the precious metal markets, gold and silver. We know that it's happened in the Forex market. We know that in the case of the LIBOR, Bank of England was implicated, a central bank. Going back even further, we know what the company Enron did before it went bust. They were manipulating prices. And market manipulation is a huge problem, and it seems to go back to this fact, again, to the central bank that's kept interest rates artificially low, and therefore the price of manipulating markets by borrowing money is near zero. So the cost of fraud is zero. And, if the price of commodities are going up and if the price of gas is being manipulated higher, how can the central bank justify both runaway inflation and no response in terms of raising interest rates? You see what I'm saying? Like, those two things never go together unless you're committing a massive fraud, Tyson.
You're right. These commodity price movements are exposing some serious central bank weaknesses. And I think, one of the responses has to be to ensure that these markets are adequately regulated. They're not the negative price disaster that we saw in crude oil last year was crazy. And it was a product of the fact that these contracts, which most people use for pure financial speculation, contain clauses that allow the counterparty to insist on physical delivery. And so as all the storage tanks in Cushing and elsewhere got full, all of these financial speculators got spooked that, wow, I might have to actually physically deliver oil. And so this resulted in this massive swing in oil prices. That's not a well-designed or well-functioning market. And so we've got systemic problems here that all boil down to really poor market design and inadequate supervision over very sophisticated speculators and other financial players in these commodity markets.
All right. So in the space of our interview here, we've identified a few things here. Number one, the remit for the central bank is full employment and price stability. Nowhere is it mentioned in their charter having anything to do with climate change or climate considerations, but they seem to be targeting that as a justification for massive money printing, which seems to help out their friends on Wall Street. And we've identified that they're involved in misreporting, manipulation, and outright fraud. So why aren't you down at the Eccles building in D.C. lobbying them to stop committing fraud? Because it's killing people.
Well, I am doing some work with JP Morgan where we think that they're in violation of their bank holding company charter The Federal Reserve requires bank holding companies like JP Morgan not to own physical energy assets. And we've exposed a scandal where JP Morgan, in fact, does control about a dozen power plants and even a monopoly utility called El Paso Electric. So the Fed has been asleep at the switch on an awful lot of things, and we're pushing for greater accountability and greater regulation over our energy markets.
Right. I mean, that seems to be a great focus of the efforts. I mean, you can't build an economy, like you can't build a house if everybody building the house has a separate yardstick, a separate measuring tool to try to figure out how to build that house. You can't have an economy if you've got everybody in the regulatory agencies applying different standards of the law. Right? So there's clearly a reinterpretation of statutory law going on by various regulators who have taken it upon themselves to interpret the law. And we know this is happening on Wall Street for years because they commit fraud and then they retroactively change the law. Famously, when Citibank bought Travelers Corp, violated Glass-Steagall, and then got the law changed proactively in the past to make that okay. And that opened up floodgates of this kind of behavior. We've got lawmakers in Washington, in your town, who don't obey the law, break the law, revise the law, and are committing massive fraud. I mean, that's the problem, is corruption. I don't know if you know Lawrence Lessig or not, but he's a very smart fella who was involved in the copyright industry for years and is in D.C. now lobbying for regulators to obey the law. Is it too much to ask as an American that our regulators are not kleptocratic, law-breaking, Soviet Union-style, complete... Is that too much to ask?
It sure isn't, Max. And there's no question that, it persists that we've got sort of two justice systems, one for the powerful and the well-connected, and one for the rest of us. And while all of us have to obey the laws or else the book gets thrown at us, for the powerful, they're allowed to routinely break the laws and get away with it. And so we need to be tough, not just on the regulators that aren't doing their duty, but on these corporate wrongdoers who time and time again commit massive frauds against the American people and their investors, and time after time walk away with not a scratch, especially for the top executives. That's got to change. We've got to have strong accountability for the most powerful in our country if we're going to make progress.
All right, so to bring this back to climate change in the area that you're lobbying for, doesn't climate change just become a PR stunt for these law-breaking kleptocrats that run America? I remember back in the 70s, heroin dealers in Harlem would give away turkeys every Thanksgiving, and people loved them while they're selling them dope, right? Here you got Nancy Pelosi, equivalent to a Harlem heroin dealer of the 1970s, breaking the law, giving away money to her friends, trading on inside information, openly, scandalously acting as anti-American. She's worse than any Chinese spy, which she, by the way, employs in her office, or had recently.
I don't know if I agree with these assertions about Nancy Pelosi. I've had my criticisms of her. I don't know if I'd characterize it the way that you just did, however.
Okay, well, I'll let history be the judge of this. So far I'm batting 1,000. In 13 years I've been doing this show. Every freaking kleptocrat I've clawed out within 3 years has either, faced serious jail sentence. Now let's talk about lithium. Lithium ore. It's needed to deliver electric cars. A great deal of the U.S. supply is on sacred tribal lands in Nevada. They don't want mining. I think lithium was the reason we were in Afghanistan.
That's correct.
Tyson, we lost that. We left $85 billion worth of military hardware. I did the math. That's $200 of that was from me personally.
Well, I hope you get your refund check
in
back.
Kabul.
So,
I left $200 in Kabul, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. What about lithium, Tyson? What's the lithium? What's the story there?
Yeah, so Max, you're raising a very important point, and that is we've got to have far better standards within the industry, and we've got to have much better regulations federally on the sourcing of the components for batteries and other material like we have in solar photovoltaics. this isn't necessarily a huge impediment to having electric vehicles sustainably, but we have to do it right. And, are electric vehicles, more sustainable than their fossil fuel automobile equivalents? Yes, they are. But does that mean that they're totally sustainable? Of course not. They, as you correctly point out, there are a number of serious challenges involved with the mining of the components like lithium that are necessary for batteries. And so, again, this is something that can be addressed through stronger standards and regulations, and also an understanding that, as I said earlier, we're not going to address climate change by just swapping out, hundreds of millions of internal combustion engine vehicles for electric drivetrain vehicles. We have to get away from the individual vehicle as a primary mode of transportation and emphasize greater use and expansion of mass transit options. That's going to be way more sustainable in terms of the inputs used for the transportation sources than 300 million new private electric vehicles.
What about bicycles, Tyson? You kill two birds with one stone. All these fat, obese American slobs who get COVID because they're fat and obese. Oh, we can't say that. All right, Tyson, thanks for being on Kaiser Report. I see you're still down there in D.C. I don't know how you do it. You must have a huge supply of vomit bags ready to go at your disposal, dealing with this stuff, but God bless you. Thanks for being on the show.
Always great to be here, Max.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition.
All right, so yeah, you already understand. I just wanted to play that video so you understand that these devils are panicking. They understand what's going on, and they're trying to warn the people or warn their elites, but the elite want this to happen. It's all planned demolition. All right, so with that, I pray this lesson is edifying. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahawah, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wahara Kakadash, Shalom to the elect.